This week we're going to be making these adorable critter zip bags by Stubbornly Crafty. Lisa Summerhays is the designer over at Stubbornly Crafty, and she has so many wonderful patterns. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this adorable bunny critter zip bag. She also has a little puppy, and you'll notice this little unicorn purse, as well as many other wonderful patterns, and I'm so grateful that she was willing to let me share this with you guys and teach you how to make it. So to make this bag, of course, you're going to want to pick up the pattern. From there, you'll get all of the great printable shapes to make the body of the bag, the ears, the little eyeglasses. That is all found in there, and I did print mine off on cardstock just so it has a little bit more stability. You're also going to need some lightweight fusible to attach your felt details here on the front, some shape flex interfacing, and some fusible fleece. You'll also want to pick up a 7-inch zipper, a piece of red felt and black felt, and then a couple of fat quarters. Well, I guess whatever color felt you want to use to go with the fat quarters that you choose. So that's really all you need to make this bag. You also might need some embroidery floss or yarn to do the little bit of stitching detail. But besides that, it is really, really simple. So let's dive into it. So to begin, we are going to take our, we're going to choose one for the outside of our bag and one for the lining. And so I've used this cute floral for the outside and this adorable window pane print for the lining. And each of those we are going to eventually cut out into the shape of the body of our bag, this curvy shape right here. But first we want to open it up, and we're going to put on the outside of the bag some fusible fleece. So I have that cut here. And in the pattern, it says to cut these, I think, like 7.5 by 10. And I just cut mine a little bit bigger. I found that it was just a little bit tighter than I like to work with, and so I just gave myself a little bit extra room. And so of course you're just going to open this up to the wrong side of your fabric, and then fusible fleece has kind of a bumpy side to it, and so you're going to put it bumpy side down, and we're going to fuse two of these pieces, one for the front and one for the back of our bag. And then you're going to do the exact same thing with the lining, except for we'll use that shape flex interfacing to go with that. And so I already have some pieces fused and cut into our shapes that we need. So let me show you those. Put these away for now. There you go. And so you can see here is the outside of my bag. Whoops, that one's already got a bunny face on it. There we go. The outside of our bag, and it has the fusible fleece on it. And here is our lining, and it has the shape flex interfacing ironed onto that. So those are ready to go. And so now our next step is to make our bunny ears. So our bunny ears, we're going to cut out a strip of our fusible fleece as well, and we're going to trace the outline of our ear 4 times onto that fusible fleece. And then we're going to press it to the same fabric that we used for the outside of our bag, and we will cut all of those out. And so then now I'm just going to put those right sides together, and we're going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam all the way around, leaving this bottom edge open. So let's take this to the machine. There we go. So nicely. And so if you wanted to go around this with maybe some pinking shears or something like that, that will make it easier to turn. I don't have those here right now, so I'm just going to put a few little snips along this curve to help cut down on that bulk and make it lay nicely when we flip it. It's a real gradual curve, so just a few little cuts will do the trick. You just want to make sure that you don't cut through your line of stitching. And so now I have that done, and we can just turn this right sides out. I like to kind of push my fingers up there towards the top and then stick that through. And then we'll just run our fingers along that edge so it lays nice and smooth. Or if you have a chopstick or something, of course you could use that. Do the same thing on this side. There we go. That looks really good, and now let's just give that a press. There we go. And you're just going to repeat that exact same step again so that you have two matching ears. I have another one ready to go here. And so now we are going to take one of our pieces that we made, the panels that we made for our bag, and we are just going to lay it on our mat here and grab a ruler. And I'm going to measure in 1 inch and make a little dot. This is going to be in the seam, so it really doesn't matter what you use, but if you want to use some sort of water-soluble or chalk marker, of course you could do that. I'm just making a tiny little dot so that I can see it for my reference. And then we're going to take our ears that we made, and we are going to line those up right along that dot so the outside matches up with it. I did baste this opening here because sometimes that makes it easier, but it's really your preference. And then we're going to slide this up about a 1/4 inch so it hangs over the edge of the body of the bag just a bit. We're going to do the same thing on this side so that those ears match up. And now let me grab a couple of pins because I want to hold these in place. My pin cushion kind of exploded in my drawer. So let's just put a couple pins in here just so the ears stay where I want them. And then now we're going to take this over to the machine, and with a really narrow seam, we're just going to tack these ears in place. There's the first one, and I'll go ahead and do the same to the second. There we go. I just want to make sure they're attached to my little panel, which they are, so that part is ready to go. So now we can set this aside for just a moment, and we're going to move on to the face of our bunny. So to do that, I have traced the outline from my paper onto some lightweight fusible. And so you'll notice this is the glasses, and these little parts are the nose and the eyes. And so then we can just take our felt and we can iron this to the wrong side. There's not really a right or wrong side on felt, but sometimes like this side is a little bit more shiny and this side's a little more fluffy. So to me, the shiny side is the wrong side. And so I'll press this down here, and the same on the red. The red doesn't have quite the same sheen that the black does, so it's really okay either way. So then we'll iron those down, and just like usual, we'll just go ahead and then cut them out. And I've gone ahead and cut that out, and you can see the fusible is on the back here. So let's go ahead and pull all these little pieces off, and then we can start adding them to the other panel of our bag. Let me pull that fusible. I just think these little glasses are the cutest thing. I mean, come on, right? So there's that. And our cute little nose. It goes like this. And our eyes. Here's this one, and this one. All right, so we'll take this over to our ironing board, and press these in place. And I am going to use just a scrap piece of fabric as a pressing cloth so that this all stays where I want it. All right. There we go. Now everything is ironed and in place. Isn't that so cute? You don't even have to do anything else and it's still adorable. I have one that's all finished here. I did go back and top stitch with coordinating thread all around the glasses and then also around the eyes and the nose. And then we went back and added some really cute, just straight line embroidery using some embroidery floss and a needle to come down the nose so it kind of has that bunny look and to add some cute little eyelashes to the eyes. And so that is what you see there. So now we have both the front and the back of our bag ready to go. So let's start assembling it. So we can take our zipper, that's going to be the next step. We need a 7-inch zipper for this project, and then you need 2 of these 1.5 by 2-inch tabs, and I have those ready to go. And so we're going to begin by just lining these tabs up with either end of our zipper and sewing straight across. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So let's go ahead and do that first. You don't have to trim your zipper. It's designed exactly for a 7-inch zipper. So there's that side. And then now I'm going to slide this down a little ways just because it will make it easier for me to keep this together, because when the zipper's all the way down on that side, it kind of wants to split out a bit. So then I can line up my fabric along that end, and we'll put this under the machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam. There we go, perfect. And so now we're going to press those back. There's that one. We'll do the other side. Okay, now let's go ahead and take this, because we want to trim the edges of the little tabs that we've added so that it lines up exactly with our zipper. So I'm just going to use my rotary cutter and trim off this excess fabric. There we go, there's one side. And one more. There we go. That is how your zipper should look. And now we can go ahead and attach it right sides down, facing our front panel, just like so. And we're going to take one of our lining pieces that I have here, and we are going to sandwich it in between. So the right sides of our lining fabric is facing the right side of our exterior fabric. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this over here. I like to use clips for this as opposed to pins, but you can do whatever your preference is. And so I'm just going to make sure all my pieces are lined up and grab my clips and just put a few of these in to make sure my zipper stays right along that edge. There we go. I'm actually even going to move this zipper head over a little bit, and then after I get a little farther down this, I can move it back up out of the way, just to make life easier. There we go. Whoops, got that one upside down. All right, that looks good to me. So we can start sewing with a 1/4 inch seam. Just move these out of the way. I do want to point out, if you have a wider presser foot on your machine, you'll want to swap that out and use a zipper foot so that you can get up nice and close and you don't have to worry about that bulk. But my foot is really narrow, so it works great for zippers like this. I'm going to back stitch. This is what I was talking about, to go ahead and pause for a minute, and I'm going to move the zipper head out of my way. Back up that way so I don't have to fight with it. And then I'll make sure this is lined back up and continue right where I left off. Back stitch again and go all the way down the edge. There we go. All right, and so when that is all done, it should look like this. You can see our bag will open up and we can press that back. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start with the lining side and roll that back away from my zipper. Okay, and now we can flip that around and press the other side so it lays back. There we go. Isn't it so cute? It's just so happy to look at when you're working on it. All right, so now I'm going to open my zipper up again, and we're going to do kind of the exact same thing we did, but with the other panel now. And so that's the one with our ears. And so the zipper should be facing right sides together towards that panel. And we are just going to line this up again. And we are going to put our lining piece on top so that it all matches. And we can put our clips in to hold it all together. So you just want to take your time on this step because you do have the bulk of the ears that you have to kind of work around. So you just want to make sure to keep it all lined up and cooperating, which that looks good to me. I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to check my zipper, make sure it all looks good from the underneath side, and it does. And I actually do want to slide this guy a little bit out of the way again. That really makes all the difference. And then we're going to start on this side here and sew a 1/4 inch seam. You just want to take your time when you're going over all of those layers where the ears are. I can feel myself getting close to that zipper head again, so I've back stitched. I'm going to cut my threads and go ahead and flip that out of the way again, and then we can finish off the seam. There we go. All right, so now we can press these back, just like we did on the other side. Press that lining down. There we go. We'll flip that over. We have those cute little ears now poking out exactly like we want them to. And now we're going to top stitch about 1/8 inch seam across both of these edges. So right along the ears here, and then right along this front side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me move these out of the way. So I'm just going to go from the outside edge all the way across. Go. There's that first side, and we can flip that around. Probably going to put a few pins in here just so those bunny ears stay out of the way. I'm going to hold them back. There we go. And now we can top stitch this side, and we don't have to worry about those flapping up in front of the needle. There we go. That looks so nice. And of course those top stitching lines are totally optional, but it really adds to the beautiful finished effect of this bag. And I think it's worth taking the time to add that row of stitching, and it helps secure your zipper even more. So it's definitely worth taking that step. So now we can match this up and finish up our bag. So what we're actually going to do is we are going to fold this right sides together, and kind of the little magic thing you need to do is you need to look at the top of your lining piece, because we need to make sure our zipper is going to match up. And so we're going to pinch this little side. This is a tip that Lisa included in the pattern, which is so helpful. And we're going to put a pin right in here just to ensure that that's going to match up all the way around. So we're going to come do the same thing over at this side. Look at the top of our bag, make sure that that matches up, and I'm going to put a pin in that side. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my clips to go around the rest of this. And I'm going to leave an opening in the bottom of this lining side about 3 inches, 4 inches. And so I'll put a clip on either side here, just like so that I don't sew there. And sometimes it helps if you put a pin going like the opposite direction. Like if you put it across here, that'll help me remember I'm not going to sew in there. And so then I'm just going to use my clips and go all the way around to hold all of these layers together, because we don't want them to shift once we take this to the machine. So I have got those lined up. Just a couple more, just to make sure it all stays how I want it. And a few more on this side. All right, I think that looks good. So now we can go ahead and start stitching. I am just gonna start on this side here and move that clip out of my way. Since this is where I'm going to turn this bag, I'm going to back stitch when I start and stop. So just take a few stitches there, and then I will work all the way around the outside of this bag and stop here on the other side, and I'll meet you back here when it's done. All right, we made it all the way around. I've left my opening so that I can turn this bag. And I do want to point out that you do have quite a bit of bulk here where it meets in the corner. So just take your time, go nice and slow, and you might even consider back stitching over where it meets the zipper if you're worried about those stitches being totally secure. And so now we can open this up. I hope I pointed out earlier, but I'm not sure that I did. You want to leave your zipper open. If it was closed, that would make turning this very tricky. So make sure it's open, and mine is. And so we can just turn our little bag through that opening that we left in the lining. And so just take your time because you don't want to tear that. We did backstitch to help secure it. But we're just going to flip that through. We're almost there. Oh my goodness. And so now, before I close up the lining, I'm actually going to reach my hand through it and push out these edges of the bag, just so it lays really nice. You can kind of roll it with your fingers so that those seams lay the way that you want them to. Our little zipper lays so nice. Oh, that looks so good. This little top edge, just gonna poke that out. There we go. So there's the little bunny. You can see how great that looks. And so now I'm just going to fold under my lining edge, just that 1/4 inch seam so that it matches up with the rest of the seam. And I am just gonna top stitch this. You could do an invisible stitch or a whip stitch by hand if you wanted, but this is inside the bag, so I am totally happy with this one little line of stitching. So I'm just gonna lay that in there and just top stitch right along this edge to close it. Make sure it's all lining up. There we go. And just tuck this in here. There we go. And that is it. That's the end of our bag. That lining now tucks inside. And isn't that just the cutest little bag? How fun is that? It's really quick. It would be a great project to make with your kiddos, or even, you know, a fun little weekend project with some friends. It's a great little gift. Again, she has different animals. There's like this puppy, there's a penguin, a little birdie. They're just so, so cute. But the bunny with the glasses was my absolute favorite. If you want to take it even one step further, she's got this unicorn purse with the cute little braided handle. Lisa is just so talented. And again, I'm so grateful that she was willing to let me teach this pattern and share it with all of you. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, it's Misty. Thanks for watching At Home. If you aren't already a part of our Missouri Star family, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you want a notification every time we release a new video. I'll see you next Monday on the newest episode of At Home.